Hey guys, it's me again. And today, after a 6-hour stream of playing World of Warcraft and complaining about it, I thought to myself that after seeing today's announcements, we deserve an encore. So I'd like to sit with you guys and explain and talk about the ways that Blizzard has been dealing with classic WoW botting. Or actually, I guess is a more accurate title, how they haven't been. This has been an issue ever since the release of the game, and it's been a stain on the integrity and on the community ever since its inception, and Blizzard has done everything in their power to make players absolutely certain that they don't care about it. So I'd like to sit down and talk with you guys about how it erodes the integrity of the game, why that's important, and then also explain how the solutions that Blizzard has tried to create are going to be completely ineffective and absolutely useless. Now, this has been an issue in retail WoW as well, but the reason why it's a bigger issue in Classic is the fact that you don't have to actually buy a game. You don't have to buy Battle for Azeroth in order to bot in the game. You just pay the $15 and you can play Classic WoW. Now, the reason that that's a problem is that the way that you decide if you want to bot in a game is very simple. You have a break-even point, and your break-even point is the point where your investment of time and money is exceeded by the return that you get from botting. So for example, if you bot for, let's say, on average 3 months, and each account gets banned on average 3 months, and that's $45, and let's say you make $60, well then you're making $15 on average, net average, off of every single bot. If you add in a box price of BFA on top of that, $40 on top of that, I don't know how much BFA is nowadays, let's say it's $40, and then the total comes out to $80 instead of $45 or $85, well then it would not be efficient to bot in BFA because you're not going to make your money back most of the time. So that's the reason why people are botting so much in Classic WoW, is simply because it's profitable. Now, the reason I'm explaining that is because it does draw a spotlight on the way that Blizzard bans bots. Now, everybody knows that Blizzard bans bots in waves, which means that they go for not banning any bots, not banning any bots, not banning any bots, and doing a big ban wave, and all of the bots get banned. Here's why that's a problem, is because the ban waves happen so infrequently that people always meet their break-even point and always come out ahead. And what that causes is it causes Blizzard to just continuously have to ban these accounts, and it causes those people to get a profit incentive to continue botting in the game. Now, that's why botting happens in Classic WoW. That's its inception, and that's why it's good. It's very simple. You make money off of it. There's nothing else really too complicated to say about that. Now, let's go ahead and talk about something that's a little bit more unique. Why does this matter in Classic WoW more than Retail WoW? Well, here's a good example. I would say about 5% of people in Classic WoW don't care about gold. 5% of people don't care about gold at all. In Retail WoW, that number is probably 5% of people that do care about gold. There are just simply so many more things for your gold to buy, for your gold to go after, for you to need to spend your gold on in Classic WoW, that the value of that is just so much higher. And then whenever you compound that on respec costs, not being able to have a WoW token, etc., that creates a perfect situation for gold sellers to flourish, especially whenever the developer completely turns their back on the player base. So what ends up happening here is you have a lot of these people, and they're making their bot accounts, and they're doing this, they're leveling up to 60, and they've gotten so brazen and so brash and so arrogant that they've actually gotten to the point where they're spamming in trade chat. They have made bots that are so elaborately complex that these bots spam in trade chat, and then they find people to sell ZG runs to. And I'm not talking about this bot is very well programmed to do ZG runs and do the pulls in a perfect way. Why would they need to do that whenever they can just fly hack? So instead of sitting around and doing your perfect ZG carry and making sure that you avoid all the right mobs, the botters just avoid that whole situation by enabling fly hacking and just hopping up the stairway to heaven to where they don't even need to worry about the crocodiles at all. And if that becomes a problem and somehow it still becomes an issue, well, they can just walk through the wall. And what's Blizzard doing about this? Nothing. Nobody cares at Blizzard. And what Blizzard is doing, that's actually not true. Blizzard is doing something about it. They came out with an announcement today that they're going to be limiting all accounts to 30 instances per day. So that per day per server. So what's going to happen here is that now you're going to have to, if you're farming Hand of Justice, if you're farming Savage Gladiator's chess piece, not only are you doing 30 runs where you don't get the item, but the insult to injury is you can't do 31. So you're sitting here trying to do the same exact thing over and over and over, and you can't do it because Blizzard has throttled you, because instead of actually solving the problem with botting, they've created an arbitrary throttling device that won't actually solve the problem to begin with. Botting in instances is only one small measurement of the way that players bot, and this doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to stop botting at all. Obviously it will cut down on it, and let's be real, I don't want to be hyperbolic here. The fact is that this change will only affect maybe 1% of the player base, maybe a little bit less than that, because most people don't spend all day farming instances. But for that 1% of the player base, their game experience has just been diminished, and the integrity of the game remains at an all-time low. And why does the integrity of the game matter? And I want to talk about this, and then I want to talk about the instance cap limit a little bit more afterwards. Why does the integrity of the game matter? Well, here's why. You guys ever played a BR? And this is at the beginning of a BR. Like PUBG, I think is a good example for this. Fortnite had this problem for a while. Apex, Warzone, you name it, every game's had it. And at the very beginning of the game, people are very motivated and they're very happy about the game and they want to get better. And every single time they get killed, they look at their death log and they say, man, that guy really beat me, I've got to play better. But the moment that cheating really hits the mainstream in that game, and every single time that you get killed, you always have the question in the back of your mind, did I get killed by a skilled player or a fucking cheater? And that question in your mind diminishes the integrity of the game. And in a competitive game, that's extremely important. And in WoW, I think that it is too, because of the amount of investment that you have in your character. Having an epic mount is not a test of skill. Having an epic mount is not a test of any sort of agility or dexterity or anything like that. It's a matter of investment and tenacity. And if you see somebody that has an epic mount, that's supposed to mean one thing. And whenever that person has an epic mount, because they bought it from a gold seller, then that becomes slightly less valuable. Now, obviously you have certain instances of people buying their friends' mounts, etc., right? And this isn't really too big of a deal. Nobody cares about that because it's completely player driven. But the problem is whenever you know that you have this shortcut that you can take, and it only takes, let's say, $100 to get your epic mount, how many people are going to be able to make their $100 back faster than they're going to be able to make 1,000 gold? I think in Classic WoW, there's going to be a lot of people that are going to choose the former. And I think that's really what the problem is. What ends up happening is that the integrity of the game is what truly makes people and drives people to play the game and invest themselves in the game. And the moment that you have that integrity broken, you lose something in the game that it's not quantitative. It's not something that, oh, well, that moment that this happened, everything went downhill. It's an erosion. It's not just a binary black and white thing. It's every single week, every single day, you see more and more people selling carries. You see more and more people that are max level that don't have their abilities trained. You see more and more people that are doing MC that are spamming fireballs and spell the bosses are immune because they just bought their character. And more you start to realize that you're playing the game with a bunch of people who shouldn't be there. And it also makes you feel stupid, and it devalues your accomplishments whenever you're on the same level as a person that was able to just buy their way to victory. It's one of the big reasons and criticisms that people have with the WoW token, and it's unfortunately, I think, simultaneously with botting, one of the big reasons why I think they might add it to Classic WoW. I mean, they've already done it in China, and based off of what Blizzard has said about botting, they don't really seem like they care a lot of actually solving the problem. So here's basically why I think so many people are frustrated about this. Because what's happened here is that Blizzard has taken an issue, which is botting. Now, imagine your problem is botting. And instead of actually investing time and money and resources like a multi-billion-dollar company like they are, they've instead tried to act like a multi-dollar company and decide to limit the instances for everyone because they're unaware of how bots actually work. This is not going to stop botting. It will throttle a little bit of it, of course it will, but it will also throttle players in the same way. This will actively make certain players' experiences worse, and I think that what the biggest issue to this is what it means. What does this change really say? This change says to me that Blizzard has no real intent on being aggressive with banning bots. Why is it that private servers are able to deal with these botting issues much more easily than a multi-billion-dollar company? Well, I can tell you why. It's because Blizzard has invented, 8 different levels of red tape for actioning accounts. And in doing so, they've completely handicapped themselves and prevented themselves from actually being agile and being able to respond to problems in the game. That's what it is. It's just corporatocracy, and that's what pretty much has probably caused a lot of the issues that the game has in general, and especially in terms of responding to consumers. Why do you think they added the right-click report feature? They added that so they could automate a GM function, and they could fire more people, so Bobby Kotick could get a $31 million bonus this year instead of only 30. Or salary, excuse me. I don't know how much his bonus is. Maybe that's even more. The point that I'm making here is that Blizzard's change and Blizzard's direction of development of the game is explicitly to, especially in terms of customer service and how they've evolved customer service over the years, the goal has been always to remove the amount of times that a GM or an employee has to deal with a player. And how have they done that? They've gotten rid of Master Loot. Do I think that this is some sort of ethical reason of why they got rid of Master Loot? Because they didn't feel like it was fair for the player? Fuck no. I don't think Blizzard cares about people ninja looting gear. I don't think it matters to them at all. But if you have master loot in the game, then they're going to have to arbitrate tickets and they're going to have to pay people to read them. So they just got rid of master looter, and then they also probably got rid of some GMs at the same time. So they're doing these changes and they're making these changes in order to save money. And the problem with saving money is that once you have a game that's losing its integrity and people are losing interest in it because it doesn't have the integrity and the value that it used to have that gave that person the intrinsic sense of reward that they got out of playing the game, the player, the consumer, the person, the individual decides they too will save money and they stop playing the game. And that's something that happens on each individual level on a different time period, but everybody hits that mark. Let me ask you guys an interesting question. If Blizzard went and they did a botting system they did a store system in retail WoW where all of the different rewards in the game, the gladiator mounts, the N'Zoth mounts, everything was just simply available from the store. If you wanted to get invincible, it was $60. If you wanted to get the mythic N'Zoth mount, it's $160. And all of these different things, you could buy achievements, you could buy ahead of the curve, you could buy anything that you want in the game. 2,400, pay $100 and you get 100 arena rating. It's just that simple. And if Blizzard actually did that, think about how fast everyone would quit the game. And that's why rewards matter. Rewards matter because of what they mean. And if you remove what the reward means, then you remove the reward. That's basically what happens. Even if it's not really gone, it's functionally gone. That's why people don't pog anymore whenever they see an invincible in the same way they did back in Wrath of the Lich King. It's just the way things go. So what is basically Blizzard doing here? Blizzard is doing here with the 30 instance cap, they're doing the absolute minimum. They're putting in the littlest, the smallest, slightest, meekest, most dog shit and half measure amount of effort possible. They don't care about fixing the botting problem. They're just going to implement a half measure and hope that it's solved. I think everybody knows that these botters are going to be able to get around it. Blizzard is not being aggressive enough with the botters, and it's costing them their community, and it's also costing them the trust of the community, which isn't something that's as easily repaired. It's taken Blizzard years to regain the trust of many of these classic players, and I think that they're just immediately losing it now, that they're adding these systems in, and they're just creating these things that are contrived, that are trying to stop botters, but they just won't do anything to begin with. And again, why I think people are so frustrated about this botting change, this 30 instance limit thing, is that to me, what does this say to me? It says that we are not going to aggressively ban bots. We are just going to create contrived game systems and throttling mechanisms and then hope that they stop the bots in the process. If Blizzard wants to invest in their game, if they want to have people invest themselves in their game, they're going to have to lead the way. They're going to have to invest actual money in the game. Now, I know that might sound crazy, but there's a certain point where creative integrity and having the integrity and value and intrinsic worth of your game outweighs a small amount of profit. The fact is that Blizzard can easily solve this problem. How do I know that? Because private servers run out of Russia by neckbeards and degenerates in the EU were able to do it for years. If you think that Blizzard is technologically incapable of this, you're fucking delusional. Blizzard has all of the resources in the world, and they can easily solve this problem in a number of ways. And it's so easy to solve that you've had players that have even been able to obviously identify how people are doing the bots. So I think Blizzard needs to hire more people. They need to invest genuine fucking money, time, and resources into making sure that their game that put them on the map, World of Warcraft, is the capstone, like, fucking main game that people know Blizzard for. Obviously, yeah, nowadays it's Overwatch, etc. But Blizzard and WoW, that was it, man. Like, people went to BlizzCon to meet their guildies from World of Warcraft. People have been playing World of Warcraft for over 10 years. And the fact is that Blizzard owes it to their community to do them the justice and do them the service and do themselves the justice and service of honoring that legacy and making this game ethical, fair, and giving it the integrity that it deserves. And the fact is that right now, Blizzard isn't doing any of that. They're taking half measures and hoping the community is going to be happy. And for once, I agree with the classic community, and I don't think that they're overreacting. I think that if anything, they're underreacting. This is a slap in the face to anybody who cares about this game. And the fact is that Blizzard is just letting this happen and telling people. They made a blue post the other day. They said, oh, well, just go send in more right-click reports. What the fuck do you think they've been doing? How the hell do you send in a right-click report whenever you /who inside Strathloam? Why do you think they do it inside of instances? Well, probably because you can't right-click report them there. The tone deaf and the solutions that Blizzard's that they put forward, that they give you in order to, like, oh, this is how to solve botting. They're so completely disconnected from the way that botting actually occurs and the way that players interact with it that it's laughable. It's a complete joke. How the fuck are you going to right-click report somebody whenever they're inside an instance? How are you going to do that anyway whenever it doesn't do anything? There are agents looking at it? No, they're not. If somebody gets enough reports, they're automatically banned. Shoot first, ask questions later. Because again, Blizzard invented the silent system because they don't want to have players, they don't want to have GMs review certain things. And Blizzard also simultaneously hasn't decided, because obviously they have logs of your chat. And that means that there's some sort of a way that that is a text file in some way or another. I'm not a programmer here, but this is just like my idea. So all you need to do, if Blizzard wants to save some money with this silencing system and having to action people and dealing with their different, profane language, Blizzard is actually shooting themselves in the foot in dealing with very, very easy modes of banning. So for example, if somebody gets reported enough times for a certain thing, it just takes that person's text message, it runs it through a filter, and if that filter hits fuck, shit, any of the different like homophobic shit, any racist stuff, etc., then it bans the account. And if it doesn't, then it sends it to a GM. But this is a very simple solution that Blizzard is obviously, unaware of. And instead of that, they just ban everybody, and then they have to deal with the tickets for the people complaining about getting unbanned or banned unfairly, which has happened many times. It's very common practice in Classic WoW for a guild to mass report another player or another guild in order to get them silenced so they don't have to compete for world bosses or for other things as well. I know that because some people in my World Boss Coalition do that now. It's not something I promote or I support, but I know that it happens. So the fact is that Blizzard is trying to do the littlest amount possible. Blizzard has tried to invest the littlest amount of effort and time into Classic WoW. They've tried to respond to changes as slowly as they possibly can. They're making changes for Alterac Valley now after it's been out of the meta for months, and the win-loss ratio for Horde and Alliance is completely lopsided to the point where Horde and Alliance don't even play to win, they just play for rep. This has been I don't even know what to say. Like, I really don't even know what to say, because at a certain point, I think that what it comes down to is Blizzard just needs to reinvest in their game. They need to show the players that they're actually serious about solving this problem. Because right now, it seems like that's the last thing that they want to do. Imagine the meme where it says the floor is, whatever the fuck. Well, the floor is solving and banning botters, and Blizzard is on the fucking ceiling. That's what's happening, and I'm sick of it. I think everybody is sick of it. It devalues the entire game for everyone. It adds too much gold into the economy, which creates inflation. It makes herbs and mining nodes harder to get artificially in a way that they should not be. It just makes the entire game worse, and Blizzard couldn't be bothered to invest a few $1,000s, or probably more realistically a few $1 million, into making sure that this game that put their company on the map, that is the most noteworthy and one of the most monumental and impactful games of the entire world, isn't going to have the integrity that it deserves. And Blizzard owes it to themselves to do this. This is their legacy. World of Warcraft Classic is their legacy. And they're just shitting on it by letting this shit continue to happen. It's an embarrassment, and it's a shame. And I wanted to make this video because I thought to myself, you know what? Not enough people are talking about this. And I wanted to let you guys know, and hopefully, I hope Blizzard sees this and they're able to solve this problem too. Making a 30 instance limit is not going to solve botting. It might cut it down a little bit, but I think it'll probably cut it down as much as it's going to stop the people that were actually playing the game legitimately from continuing to play the game legitimately. Botters will adapt, and Blizzard will adapt 6 months later, and the game will continue to get worse. Blizzard, please, take this seriously. You owe it to yourself, and you owe it to your community. Pretty much all I've got. Leave a comment down below, let me know what you think. Other than that, that's it. Peace.